Hello, guys. My name is Michelle, and I'm here to tell you my story. I'm only 28 years old, but I've already been through a lot because of my mother-in-law. This story is about the time she tried to kick me out of my own house. It happened last year, and we're still dealing with the consequences. I'm a small business owner, and I've been married to Logan for 2 years. We met in college when I was 20. Logan is one of the kindest and most caring people I know. His friends also love him for his helpful and caring nature. I used to be very lonely in college, so finding Logan was like a dream come true. My own toxic family made me believe I could never succeed in life. I got into my dream college on a scholarship, but I still had to work 2 jobs to cover my expenses. Logan supported me throughout my college life and encouraged me to start my own business. While he was an amazing boyfriend, there was one problem. His mother, Kate, Logan's parents were divorced long before I met him. However, Logan had a good relationship with both his parents, especially his mom. He always said, "You know what, Michelle? Even though my parents are divorced, I love them both equally. My mom is especially important to me." I responded, "I know, Logan. It makes me happy to see that your family loves you so much. It makes me miss my parents even more." Logan continued, "A few of my past girlfriends had a problem with me being so close to my mom. They've had many issues with her. I just want you to know that she's important to me as well. I have no idea why they had a problem with your mom. She seems like a great mother and a good person. I mean, she raised you and you turned out so well. Don't worry, I'll try to have a good relationship with her," I reassured him. Back then, I thought it was extremely sweet of Logan to look after his mom. When he joined his father's business, he started sending Kate money. He was generous with his family, which I adored. He was equally caring towards me, but I always insisted on splitting bills evenly. We moved in together at the end of my final year at his insistence. Things were going really smoothly until it was time to meet his family. I had already met his sister, who flew down to see us during spring break. From the moment I met her, I knew we would be best friends. She was just as sweet as her brother and stayed connected with me through social media. I met his mother and father when they came to his graduation. His father, Robert, gave me a big hug and was genuinely excited to meet me. His mother, Kate, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. She barely acknowledged me and kept calling me Logan's friend. I tried to make small talk with her, but she simply looked in the other direction. When we were alone, she actually told me that she thought our relationship was temporary. Kate was convinced that Logan would break up with me after joining his father's business. She said, "I don't know why Logan is making such a fuss about you. It's not like you two will last forever. Looking at you, he can make do with a girl like you until he joins the business. After that, he will need someone more suitable." "Kate, what are you saying? Logan and I are very serious. We're actually thinking about getting engaged. I love your son, and he loves me too," I said. "Oh please, don't give me that. I know you are nothing but a gold digger. I've met a lot of trash like you. You should ask me how I chased them away from Logan," she retorted. "Kate, you are misunderstanding me. I'm not with Logan for his money," I tried to explain. Kate interrupted me and went on a tirade about how I was a witch and didn't deserve Logan. The amount of venom and nonchalance she showed honestly surprised me. I tried to ignore her words and put on a happy face for my boyfriend, but inside, I was thinking about whether I should have a talk with Logan about his mother. When we returned home, Logan enthusiastically asked, "So what do you think about my parents? Have you guys gotten along?" "Your dad is an amazing man, Logan. You saw how we bonded quickly. I can see where you got your kindness from." "And what about Mom? I saw you two were talking privately. You must have hit it off instantly." I didn't want Logan to worry, so I told him Kate and I were good. He seemed satisfied with my answer and didn't press further. Eventually, days passed and Logan joined the business. He often went to visit his mother and asked me to accompany him, but I was uneasy after our last meeting and refused. That year, during Christmas, I unexpectedly got an invite from his mother. They were going to have a grand celebration with all his extended family. Logan seemed pretty excited and told me I should come. Since Kate sent me the invite, I thought she might have changed her mind about me. Now I know that I was extremely foolish to think so. We excitedly visited Kate and prepared ourselves to meet the guests. Kate ignored me the entire time and even made some rude comments. When I met Logan's grandmother, she praised me and said, "My grandson has chosen quite well. You are a delightful girl, Kate. I've heard a lot about you from my grandchildren. I know you have a successful business that you started from scratch. You're an inspiration for your peers out there. Thank you, Grandma. Your grandson really helped me a lot as well. He is the reason why I have so much confidence in my business. You mean how my son gave you money to start your business, right? I know you struggled to make ends meet in college. I wonder how much my son gave you for your business. Your parents bailed on you, so you decided that my son would be a good financial replacement. Kate, what is wrong with you? Michelle is successful because of her own efforts, Logan's grandmother interjected. I think you were mistaken, Kate. Logan only gave me a small loan when I started. I paid him back the entire loan a few months after opening my business. My family wasn't very supportive, so I had to cut them out of my life. I am with Logan because I love him and nothing else. That's what all gold diggers say, Michelle. I'm starting to understand why your family abandoned you for good. It would be a shame for anyone to be related to a gold digger like you. I was on the verge of crying and had to excuse myself from the party. Logan found me crying on the porch after some time. He profusely apologized for his mother's behavior and asked me to forgive him. Even his grandmother came outside and comforted me. Kate was inside the house, screaming about how I ruined her Christmas party. Logan's grandmother quickly went back and started berating her for being so mean to me. That shut her up very quickly. I did not want to go back inside. Logan pleaded with me, Michelle, please let's just go back inside. Please forget what happened. I don't know what has gotten into Mom. I can assure you she won't say anything else, and if she does, I will stop her. Fine. I will go back inside. But understand this, Logan. I'm going back for you. I don't want to ruin your day. I know, Michelle. I'm so sorry for everything. Let's go in, and we'll leave early to make it up to you. Since that day, Kate became even more bitter towards me. Logan tried his best to maintain peace, but she refused to be civil with me at all. Sherry even called me to say that Kate was the reason she didn't go to the party. She said, I saw this coming long ago, Michelle. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Mom has always favored Logan and neglected me because I'm a girl. I tried my best to gain Kate's love but gave up after suffering for years. That's horrible, Sherry. I had no idea Kate was such a bad mother to you. Is this why you don't talk to her that much? Yes, Michelle. I have no interest in talking to Mom. I am genuinely happier being away from her. I should warn you, though, Logan is a good man, but he tends to be too soft on Mom and her toxic behavior. Sherry's story stayed with me for a long time. It even made me question my relationship with Logan, but I loved him too much to leave. I had no one, and Logan was the best thing that ever happened to me. So when Logan surprised me and proposed, I said yes. At that point, I knew that no matter what, I would always be by his side. We called his family to tell them about the engagement. Everyone was super happy except Kate. She congratulated us but quickly ended the call. Charlotte then called to tell us that Kate had gone ballistic over the news. She said, I have some bad news for you guys. Mom has absolutely lost it after you announced your engagement. She's calling up every family member, spreading lies about Michelle's character. She wants everyone to pressure Logan into breaking the engagement. What are you talking about, Sherry? We spoke to her just yesterday. She didn't say anything to me. Why would she, Logan? She knows you won't listen to her right now, so she's bringing people to her side. Now everyone in your family thinks I'm a horrible woman. I'm pretty shocked by Mom's behavior and don't know what to do, but I'll stand up for you, Michelle. You're going to be my wife. I'll do my best to protect you. Our engagement was almost spoiled by Kate as she tried to get everyone against us. Thankfully, no one paid heed to her and actually supported us instead. Logan was crushed and tried to talk some sense into his mother. He visited her every day and tried to tell her how happy he was with me, but everything fell on deaf ears. She cried and screamed about how he doesn't love her and wants to marry a gold digger. I was getting annoyed by her constant taunting. Finally, Logan and I sat down to discuss what we should do about Kate. Logan, your mom's behavior is seriously wearing me down. I just can't take it anymore. Sooner or later, you will have to do something about this, I said. I'm so sorry, Michelle. I'm apologizing on her behalf. I promise that I will distance myself from her. She is my mom, so I don't want to cut her off, Logan replied. I understand, Logan. Kate might be nasty to me, but you can't just let her go. However, we need to go low contact for a while. Logan then talked to his mom about our decision. Thankfully, Kate stayed away from all wedding preparations. However, she was busy telling everyone how bad I was and how her son was a lost cause. I tried my best to focus on the wedding and ignore Kate's malicious actions. She did everything from threatening to boycott the wedding to showing up at Logan's office to cause a scene. When nothing worked, she set her sights on our wedding. She called up our venue and canceled the date, pretending to be me. The venue, unfortunately, went along with it and canceled the booking. We tried our best to negotiate with them, but they refused to give back our deposit. They were willing to refund the money only if we pressed charges against Kate for impersonating me. Logan, as usual, did not want this to happen. He said, "Please, Michelle, don't make me file a report against Mom. I can do that. You have to understand." "What about the venue, Logan? We literally lost money. I don't have a place to get married," I replied, frustrated. "I'll fully pay for a new venue, completely on my dime. I don't want you to lose any more money than you already have. We may have to book a smaller venue because of the money, but I promise you this won't happen again." "Fine, but you need to talk to Kate about her behavior. I don't want any more drama. I've lost enough money and energy because of her." I was extremely upset and wanted to scream at Kate. Logan promised to handle the situation and dealt with Kate on his own. After this incident, we put passwords on all our vendors. Robert took pity on us and actually covered the cost of the cake as a wedding gift. We were thankful because we had just put down a deposit on a house and didn't have much spare money on hand. At our wedding, Kate sat in the front row and cried the entire time. No one paid attention to her, and the ceremony continued. We actually requested the priest to omit the objection part because we knew she would cause trouble. Sherry was a great support throughout all this. Sherry later told us, "You know what, guys? You were right. Mom was looking forward to making an objection. She was so pissed when that part didn't come. You should have seen her face." "How does she know about this, Sherry?" "I was genuinely hoping this hadn't crossed her mind," I said. "She told me at the reception. I guess she somehow thought I would support her. I mean, you do remember what happened at the reception, right?" At the reception, all she did was drink and cry at the bar. She even flagged down Robert and cried to him about losing her son. By the end of the day, I was exhausted by everything and honestly felt like the day was spoiled. Logan also looked pretty embarrassed and kept apologizing to me. A few months after the wedding, we shifted to our new house. Since we lost a lot of money on the first venue, we never got a honeymoon nor a housewarming party. However, we were happy to finally get married and own the house. One day, we were home after work and Logan told me that Kate had fallen down the stairs at her apartment. She apparently had a sprained ankle and needed someone to help. Logan informed me that he told Kate she could stay with us until she got better. I was again pissed because he didn't even consult me before making the decision. He didn't even hear my side and rushed to get Kate from her apartment. I prepared the guest room, feeling defeated and hurt. When Kate came to our house, she immediately started to cry about how Logan was spending too much money on me and forgetting his duty towards her. She said, "I can't believe how fast you abandoned me. This woman has you under her spell. First, you pay for her business, then the wedding, and now you gifted her a house. You spent so much on this cheap woman while your mother is living in a small apartment. How are you not ashamed?" "Mom, we paid for everything together. All expenses for the wedding and the house were split equally. This is why we're both on the deed of this house. I didn't pay Michelle's part. She can earn for herself," Logan explained. "Oh my God, you even got her name on the house. She's going to ruin you, Logan. This house is yours, not hers. Michelle is going to divorce you and take all your assets." "Mom, what are you saying? That is not going to happen. Please stop insulting Michelle for no reason." Kate went on blabbering about how gold diggers like me cheat on their husbands and take all their money. Logan and I ignored her words and concentrated on settling her in the guest room. She again complained about how she should be in the master bedroom and that it was the least we could do for her. Logan just looked defeated and kept his eyes down the entire time. He begged me to behave and just put up with Kate for a few days. One thing I noticed was that she was not walking like she had a sprained ankle. When I informed Sherry of the matter, she was suspicious of Kate as well. She told me to keep an eye on her since she had faked injuries in the past. Kate was already whining about how I should be cooking her meals and pampering her. She knew I had work but was convinced that all I did was sit on my butt. After 2 days of putting up with her antics, I finally caught her casually walking down the stairs like nothing happened. I accessed our security camera from the living room and found more proof that she was faking her injury. I patiently waited for Logan to come home and confronted her with the evidence. When Logan saw the footage, he was super angry. He confronted Kate and asked her to explain. She was already in tears and said, "Logan, how could you doubt me like that? You know I am in pain. I can't even move a few steps without falling. My ankle is swollen, and I'm taking pain medications every day. That witch is manipulating you, Logan. Why would I lie about something like this? Kate, we can clearly see you moving around the house when I'm working. Your legs seem to work fine when we're not looking. There's no need to keep lying about this. How dare you accuse me of lying? I'm not a lowlife like you. My son loves me more than you anyway. I have no reason to lie. You're just jealous he is paying more attention to me. Logan, do something about her." "Mom, I am having a really hard time believing you right now. You already pulled this stunt before. Why did you lie to me about the injury?" "You have to believe me, Logan. I need your help. Your witch of a wife just wants me away from you. If you are seriously injured, why didn't you go to a doctor? Where are your doctor's notes?" "I'm scared of hospitals, so I couldn't go, but my ankle is really sprained. I'm telling you the truth." "Well, in that case, why don't we go to a doctor and get it checked? If you really are in pain, we need to get a test done on your leg anyway." At this point, Kate started to hyperventilate and cry. She kept screaming at me for being a scheming witch and begged Logan to listen to her. Logan just kept his head in his hands and said, "Mom, I love you, but what you are doing is very disturbing. I thought I could trust you. Why did you do this?" "I'm telling you the truth, Logan. This girl has destroyed our relationship since she came. You used to be so doting and caring towards me. Now you're accusing me of faking my injury. You don't love me anymore. I'm your mother. You should be taking care of me. You have to choose between her and me. Think wisely if you don't want to lose your mom." "What are you saying? I can't do that. I'm never going to see your face again if you don't divorce this witch. She is a snake, and that is exactly why her family abandoned her. You're wasting your time on a gold digger who doesn't love you. She is just using you for money. She can't stand that you give me money, so she wants me out of your life. You need to get rid of her before she traps you with a baby. You need to decide today, Logan." Kate went on and on about how I deserved to be mistreated by my family. She said so many hurtful things that I started to cry. I couldn't take it anymore. Logan looked at both of us and then rose from the couch. He went upstairs and returned with packed suitcases. When she saw this, Kate started to smirk at me. I was too upset to even look at Logan. When Logan finally reached us, I saw that he was carrying Kate's bags instead of mine. Kate looked shocked and started to sob. Logan simply said, "Mom, for years I've seen how you've treated Michelle. I kept quiet because I didn't want to lose you. I told Michelle to put up with you. You kept calling her names and even tried to sabotage our wedding. Still, I thought you would change and accept her as your daughter-in-law. Clearly, I was wrong. Logan, I only wanted the best for you. You have to understand that Michelle's plan is working against us. I'm your mother. You cannot kick me out." "Enough, Mom. Michelle has already been through enough. You attacked her character and achievements. You were cruel enough to talk about her family. I had enough. I'm done with you. Take your bags and get out." "Logan, you can't do this." "I am ashamed I hadn't stood up for Michelle for so long, but I'm going to fix this now. She is my future, not my manipulative mother who destroys my relationships. Get out and don't come back here." Kate kept sobbing and clung to Logan for dear life, but he paid her no heed. He simply removed her from his arms and escorted her out. He came back and comforted me because I was still crying. Logan profusely apologized to me and promised that things would change. I was just mad at him because he had never kept his promise before. After Kate left, Logan spent the next few weeks making it up to me. He blocked Kate and everyone who tried to advocate for her. Robert called him and gave him a stern scolding for letting Kate hurt me for so long. Sherry was also pretty angry with Logan. He slowly realized how he had been pushing others away to accommodate Kate. He had to undo a lot of damage that Kate had caused in his life. We both started going to personal and couples therapy. He has come to recognize that Kate is a narcissist and only wanted control over him. Our relationship has improved a lot, and we are happier than ever. Hopefully, Kate will stay away from us. Logan is contemplating a restraining order if she doesn't. All in all, things are good and we are finally happy. The day my father passed away, my mother told me, "Emily and I will take over all the remaining assets." To be honest, I didn't want to discuss the inheritance on the day of my father's funeral. However, Emily eagerly pushed the conversation forward, her eyes sparkling. "There's a will, too. Look," Emily said proudly, showing it to me. Just after Dad went to the hospital, Mom and I visited him and had him write this. Dad immediately agreed to leave nothing to you, sis. Dad did that, even though he always relied on me. Yes, he did, Emily replied. I know it's harsh, but Dad always found me more likable and favored me. Before I could respond, my mother continued with a smile. Since you don't have a job, we have no intention of giving you a single penny from the inheritance. We'll be enjoying a trip abroad, so prepare to leave this house by the time we return. Wait, how can I accept this? Why would you do this? Before I could say anything else, my mother and Emily retorted coldly, Be quiet. It's impossible for you to get anything from us now. With Dad gone, we can finally act freely. Your role here is done, so leave immediately. All the sacrifices I made for Dad, everything I did for him, and this is the result. How cruel. Giving everything for such an ungrateful father felt pointless. Even if I wished for their help now, it was too late. Hearing their words, any remaining feelings I had for my mother and Emily disappeared entirely. Without expressing all I wanted to say, I responded, I understand. I can't stay with you two any longer. I'll gladly leave. With that, I left my childhood home. My name is Ashley. I have a sister, Emily, who is 4 years younger than me. We're a family of 4. Emily's personality is similar to our mother's. She's charming but sometimes lazy, and she often teased my father and me, who are more sincere. Our mother, having a temperament like Emily, felt especially fond of her. When we were children, it was evident she favored Emily over me. Whenever she met her friends, my mother would only take Emily, often leaving me at home. She said it was embarrassing to show plain and quiet Ashley to her friends. On the other hand, she was very proud of Emily, who was friendly and loved by everyone. Even with such a mother and sister, I could live positively because of my father. He valued my sincerity and loved both Emily and me equally. I deeply appreciated and loved my father's fair attitude. Even after becoming an adult, my mother's treatment of me remained unchanged. However, thanks to my father's presence, our household remained stable. After my father retired at 65, he had an accident at home. He tripped over a small step and broke a bone. Despite surgery and rehabilitation, his aging muscles didn't recover well. As he spent more time bedridden and needed care, my mother and Emily became even colder towards him. One day, I overheard my mother and Emily chatting excitedly while looking at a guidebook. Hey Mom, what do you think about this inn? The food looks delicious too. Maybe we should go with this one. Curious, I asked, what are you talking about? My mother answered with a hint of annoyance, we're planning a family trip. Considering Dad's difficulty moving around, isn't traveling hard for him? I asked. Emily smiled and said, well, we're not thinking of bringing him. We plan to leave him at home. That's cruel. It would be hard for him if he's left alone. If Dad's not going, I'll stay home with him, I said. My mother and Emily just smiled at each other. My mother then said, that's fine. If that's the case, Emily and I will go by ourselves. Whether you two come or not is up to you, but since it's a family trip, we'll be using money from Dad's bank account. A quick glance at the guidebook revealed they had chosen a room for just 2 people. It was clear they never intended to bring either my father or me. After that, my mother and Emily frequently went out alone, staying at high-quality inns and dining at fancy restaurants, as if neither my father nor I existed. I kept an eye on their actions from a distance, trying to finish my work quickly to take care of my father. When I couldn't handle everything alone, I sought help from care services for tasks like bathing assistance or accompanying my father on short walks. On days when I had to work overtime, I asked my mother and Emily to look after him, but they always avoided the responsibility. One day, a care service staff member called, Ashley, I came to help with the bath, but is there no one at home today? Alarmed, I quickly called my mother and Emily. Despite informing them of the staff's visit in advance, they had left my father alone and gone out. When they finally returned, I confronted them, but there was no apology. The staff are professionals, right? It's okay even if we aren't there. Dad is an adult. He'll be fine being left alone. We don't want our time taken up caring for him like you do, they said, genuinely believing they were doing nothing wrong. I realized I couldn't rely on them and decided to take care of my father myself. Juggling work and caregiving was far from easy, especially since neither my mother nor Emily showed any concern or understanding. My father's condition worsened. He spent more time sitting than walking and ate much less. As the 9th year of caring for my father approached, I became concerned about how frail he looked. When I took him to the hospital, we received a shocking diagnosis. Your father has advanced cancer. I was devastated. I realized we might not have much time left, and I was determined to support him in his final days. I quit my job to care for my father full-time. When I told my mother and Emily about his condition, the reactions were unexpected. My mother simply commented, "Really? He never drank or smoked. It's unfortunate that such a sincere person ended up with cancer." Emily, with a stunned expression, said, "I can't believe you'd give up your job to take care of Dad. I'd never make that choice. I thought they would be concerned about him, but they showed no signs of it at all. I was honestly surprised by their indifference, as if it was someone else's business. They only visited him at the hospital briefly and never came for a proper visit." I supported my father daily during his chemotherapy treatments. Despite our best efforts, we couldn't stop the cancer's progression, and half a year later, he passed away. The days after the diagnosis went by in a blur. Upon hearing of his death, my mother and Emily started a private discussion and left me to arrange the funeral on my own. They disappeared somewhere, and I didn't even have time to mourn my father as I had to handle everything. As the funeral began, my mother appeared and delivered the chief mourner's speech despite having done nothing. She put on a face for the public. I was irritated by her behavior, but the funeral proceeded smoothly. Worn out, I headed home, only to be invited to the living room by my mother and Emily, who had already returned. They said they had something to discuss. Without any consideration for my exhaustion, my mother abruptly declared, "Regarding your father's inheritance, Emily and I will inherit this house and all other assets." I wasn't in the mood to discuss inheritance on the day my father passed away, but Emily chimed in. "We even have a proper will. Look," she said, proudly presenting the document. Right after Dad was admitted to the hospital, Mom and I visited him and had him sign this. "It states that you won't inherit anything." Dad agreed to it immediately. "Dad did?" I asked, stunned. With a smirk, Emily said, "After all the help you provided, it's so cold, right?" Maybe Dad in the end preferred me over his too serious elder daughter. "That's impossible," I began to respond, but my mother interrupted with a grin. "Clearly Emily is more adorable. Your father always stayed home and had no hobbies, so he surely saved a lot. Mom even quit her job because of the inheritance, and I took some time off work to enjoy it." Before I could say anything, they continued their conversation. My mother then told me, "You, who have no job, won't get a penny from the inheritance. We plan to enjoy a vacation abroad for a while, so you should leave this place by then." I hurriedly countered, "Wait a minute. Do you genuinely believe what you're doing is right?" Without waiting for me to finish, both my mother and Emily firmly responded, "Shut your mouth. It's a waste of time trying to take the inheritance from us. With your father gone, we'll do as we please. Your role here is done. Please leave this house promptly." To think that after all I sacrificed for Dad, this is what I get. There was no need to go to such lengths for such an ungrateful father. It's pointless to regret and think about it now. Hearing those words, any remaining bond I felt for my mother and Emily was completely severed. I couldn't forgive them for speaking that way about my beloved father. Holding back what I wanted to say, I calmly told them, "I understand your thoughts. From now on, I can't imagine living together with you two. I'll gladly leave." Despite their initial surprise at my acceptance, the two soon smiled smugly together. Good to know. Once you leave this house, never rely on us again. Our relationship ends here. Whatever happens to you, we want no part in it. Don't even think of contacting us, my mother said. Receiving this intense sentiment, I packed only my essentials and left the house. A few days after the inheritance discussion, something unexpected happened. I received a call from my mother, who had claimed she would cut off contact with me. When I answered, she immediately confronted me in anger. "What have you done? Where has all the money from your father's account gone? Why are you suddenly calling? Didn't you say you wouldn't contact me?" I replied, "Silence. This is an emergency. Return your father's savings immediately." "What are you talking about? I left the passbook at the old house, didn't I? I have no way of accessing it after I left. The money in the account is definitely gone. Such a significant amount of savings couldn't have disappeared so suddenly," my mother accused. She suspected that I had squandered my father's money. "Mom, haven't you ever checked the account balance before?" "Huh? I haven't bothered with such things," she replied. "I see. If you had, you would have noticed that Dad's savings weren't that much to begin with. What do you mean? His savings were, oh, where did his retirement money go? We used it for our wedding ceremony and the new house, I explained. Wedding? New house? I have no idea what you're talking about. I had been in a romantic relationship with a man named Sean, who was in charge of the caregiving service for my father. Our relationship started through our mutual care for my father. I had told my father about Sean soon after we began dating, and Sean proposed. At that time, I was overwhelmed with caregiving and work responsibilities and couldn't make a decision. Upon learning the truth, my father said, "Care for yourself more than me. I want you to have a happy marriage," and he supported me. He even started helping with the wedding venue selection and looking for a new place to live. We had reserved a wedding date for the following year and signed a contract for a new apartment that my father liked. This all happened 6 months before we found out that he had terminal cancer. As a gesture of gratitude, my father covered most of the costs for the wedding and the new apartment. That was the reason for the decrease in the account balance. Hearing this, my mother's voice trembled, clearly shaken. So there wasn't any inheritance for us to inherit in the first place. Primarily just the family home, but given its location, we shouldn't expect a high selling price. Emily, overhearing the conversation, snatched the phone from my mother in panic. Wait, so the financial assistance for your wedding is much more than the inheritance for Mom and me? That seems to be the case. Dad knew about my marriage and me leaving the house, so maybe he didn't see a problem in leaving the family home to both of you. He might have used a significant amount for me and intended the inheritance to compensate for that. Could it be that the reason you quit your job was because your marriage had been decided upon? That's right, Sean is also involved in investment activities and is financially stable. He wanted me to become a full-time housewife. Also, I thought if I resigned early, I could focus on taking care of our father. I can't believe it. Why did you keep the news about your marriage and the savings a secret from us? Taking a deep breath, I answered, I thought about telling you several times, but every time, neither of you showed any interest and avoided the topic. Why didn't you stop me from taking a break from work or Mom from quitting her part-time job? How are we supposed to live now? When I wanted to talk to you after the funeral, wasn't it you and Mom who shut me down, saying you can't expect anything from us? I thought family members should help each other out. When I was swamped with work and caregiving, you were out having fun, neglecting Dad. How can I think of someone who said such mean things as family? Don't just say whatever is convenient for you, I told them, shocked and lost for words. Emily was taken aback. Afterward, my mother pleaded with me, Ashley, the truth is, I've already paid for the trip. I also made various purchases expecting the inheritance. So now I have no savings left. So what about it? I've already quit my part-time job, right? If we don't get any inheritance money, we won't have any money for next month. So until I find a new job, I hope you can lend us some. When you kicked me out of the family home, didn't you say you'd never come to me again? That our relationship was over? That you wouldn't interfere with whatever happens to me in the future? About that, neither of you ever helped when Dad and I were going through tough times. Now, when you're in trouble, you want to rely on me. That's incredibly brazen, I said. Without waiting for my mother to finish, I ended the call and blocked their numbers. I was utterly disgusted by my mother and sister, who only claim to be family when they're in trouble. I decided to distance myself from these two. Later on, I heard from various people that although my mother and Emily had canceled their trip, they couldn't get a refund. They'd been barely scraping by, asking friends and relatives for money. They had to sell their house, but as I expected, they didn't get as much as they hoped. With the initial expenses for a new place and moving costs, they had hardly any money left. Emily returned to work, but because she asked her colleagues for money, her relationships at work became strained. She had planned to leave her job soon after finding a good partner, but because of the situation, that partner, as well as other men, distanced themselves. Her friends, too. My mother tried to find another part-time job, but her previous workplace had already hired someone else, so it was hard for her to return. Due to her age, her job opportunities were limited. She's been working diligently, facing complaints from younger colleagues. Currently, they manage their living expenses with my mother's meager part-time salary and Emily's earnings, slowly repaying their debts. Both of them seem worn out. As for me, I was able to have a small wedding at the venue my father chose. The only regret is that my father couldn't be there for my wedding. but I believe he's watching over our happy moments from somewhere. My married life with Sean has been smoother than expected. We're enjoying peaceful and fulfilling days together. I'm eternally grateful to my father for supporting my relationship with Sean and giving me this opportunity. I've had to build a peaceful life with my husband, always remembering my gratitude to my father.